Hi class. So as I promised, I wanted to do a video on powder volume because I didn't get to spend as much time on it as I would have liked in class. And being that it is part of your assignments this week, I thought I would dedicate just a quick 15 minutes to it. It might even be less than that. Just going over some examples, both easy and two steps, to let you know how to work out some of these kind of questions. Because it is possible, one, you'll see it throughout this class, and two, that you'll see it in the future. So let's jump right on into that. So again, to go over it, powder volume is the space occupied by dry medication, whether it's in a vial or in a plastic bottle, depends on what kind of thing that you are, basically it's what's called reconstituting. Powder volume can be determined by subtracting the diluent volume from the final volume. So you see that in our equation below. So powder volume equals final volume minus diluent volume, or PV equals FV minus DV. And we went over that in class. So let's jump right on in and we'll look at some simple leading on to more difficult questions. Our first question asks us, a dry powder antibiotic must be reconstituted for use. The label states you must dilute the powder using 6.5 mL of sterile water. Using the formula, determine the powder volume if the final volume is 15 mL. First thing we know is what our equation is. So powder volume, oh, let me write. Let's try the other end. It's not letting me write on the screen. There it is. PV, sorry about the screen. PV is equal to final volume minus diluent volume. So the things that we're given are how much diluent we need to add, which is 6.5 mL of sterile water, and that the final volume is 15 mL. So PV is equal to a final volume of 15 mL minus 6.5 mL. So PV equals 8.5 mL. So that's a pretty simple question. Our next example problem is you have added 3.3 mL of diluent to a 1 gram vial and now have a final volume of 4 mL. What is the powder volume? So they do try to trick us and add an extra number to this question. However, you don't need it. The only thing you need is the numbers to stick into your equation. So again, powder volume equals final volume minus diluent volume. Our final volume is 4 mL. Our diluent volume is 3.3 mL. Stick that in your equation. 4 mL minus 3.3 mL. PV is equal to 0.7 mL. Now we're going to look at a question that takes two steps. You are to reconstitute a 1 gram of dry powder. The package insert states you are to add 9 mL of diluent to make a final solution of 100 milligrams per ml. What is the powder volume? So this one's a little more difficult because we have to find our final volume. How they get you to do that is they give you the concentration of the solution they want you to find. So the first thing you have to do is use how much we're going to reconstitute and the concentration of that final solution to find our final volume. Then we'll use how much diluent to then find our powder volume. So we're going to do this in 2 stages. Here's our question up here at the top. So we can keep that in mind. It has all our numbers there. And we'll do this in 2 steps. So our first step is to calculate final volume. Well, we have to do this by changing grams to milligrams first because our concentration is in milligrams and the amount we have to reconstitute is in grams. So we'll do one quick little step here first and change 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. And it's rough because it's up at the top there, so I apologize. Over 1 gram. So our grams cancel out. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000 milligrams. Okay, so we're going to reconstitute 1,000 milligrams of dry powder, and we are making 100 milligrams per ml. So we need to know how many final mLs we're going to have by using those 2 numbers. So we have on one side 1,000 milligrams because that's how much reconstituted dry powder we have. We need to know what this X is, which X mLs, which will be our final volume. Is equal to this concentration. This is how much our final solution is going to be. 100 milligrams per 1 ml. We cross multiply to find our X. So 1,000 times 1 is 1,000 equals X times 100, so 100X. We have to get X alone, so we then divide each side by 100. So our X equals 10 mLs, which is equal to our final volume. We can now find powder volume by using our regular formula. Powder volume equals final volume minus diluent volume. We just found final volume was 10 mLs. Our diluent volume was given to us in the problem, 9 mLs. So our powder volume is then 1 ml. Let's try one more 2-step problem. This one states the label of a 4-gram vial states that you are to add 11.7 mLs to get a concentration of 250 milligrams per ml. What is the powder volume? So this time we have a 4-gram vial with a concentration of 250 milligrams per ml. We'll have to use those 2 numbers to get our final volume first. Then we'll use 11.7, which is our diluent volume, to get our powder volume. So let's bring that to our next page and do our 2 steps. But first, what do we got to do? We got to change that grams because we can't do it if our units aren't the same. So 4 grams, 1,000 milligrams over 1 gram. Grams cancel out, so we have 4,000 milligrams in this vial. The concentration is 250 milligrams per ml in that vial. So we need to know what our final volume is. What's our final mLs? So on one side, we'll have 4,000 milligrams over X mLs, which will be our final volume, equals 250 milligrams per 1 ml, which is the concentration we want to achieve. So let's cross multiply again. 4,000 times 1 is 4,000. 250 times X is 250. Cross multiply, or I'm sorry, not cross multiply, but divide each side by 250 to get X alone. So 4,000 divided by 250 is 16 ml, which is equal to our final volume. And now we can use our diluent volume that's given to answer our specific equation. Powder volume equals final volume minus diluent volume. So final volume was 16, which is the number we just found, minus 11.7 mLs. Our powder volume is 4.3 mLs. I hope this helps everybody solve powder volume. We will go over it more before the final exam. If you guys have any questions about using this to do your homework assignment, please feel free to let me know. I hope you all have a good rest of your week.